Okay, welcome back to the Arcadian podcast. Today is episode number 14, and today is Monday, April 29th, 2019. I am Matt Franceschi, and with me today I have Adam Wolf, Ben Bachman, and Dave Mead. Trending news today, we've got Gameboy's 30th anniversary, first released on April 21st, 1989. Gamestop records a $673 million loss in 2018, not their best year. We're going to talk about the release of Jedi Fallen Order being completely single player and having no microtransactions. And Blizzcon was just recently announced for 2019. It's going to be in Anaheim, California on November 1st and 2nd. But the main topic today is going to be censorship in video game culture. The reason I picked this is because we've talked about this a little bit in the past. Like being banned from certain games and platforms for saying certain things that the company disagrees with, and how that was kind of like a scary premise and could be abused, I think, by companies if they chose to do so against like targeted individuals. And we also like just got done talking about the Steam removing off-topic review bombs from the review scores. But also like I had seen 3 big stories like that just happened this past week that were all like forms of censorship in one way or another, but they were all like also extremely different from one another. So I thought it would be cool to just kind of go through these one by one and like just give our opinions, and then, you know, kind of move on to like censorship as a more general topic. The 3 stories are, the first one is that Blizzard banned the OK hand gesture from the Overwatch League. The second one is that Sony has set a new set of guidelines for regulating the sexually explicit content in games sold just on Sony's platform. And the third one is that TF Blade was suspended for 30 days on Twitch for allegedly saying the N-word. So let's talk about the first one. And how this kind of came about with Blizzard is that during a live player interview in the Overwatch League, an audience member flashed the OK hand gesture in the background. And after being seen live, Blizzard received complaints on Twitter from fans for this hate symbol being used. So Blizzard responded publicly stating that the hand gesture is no longer accepted in the Overwatch League due to its use by alt-right and white supremacists. Blizzard has also banned Pepe the Frog in the past as well from the Overwatch League. So I guess like without going into, I mean, unless you'd like to, like, you know, this being like a symbol of the alt-right and white supremacists, I think a lot of people were still just using it as the OK hand gesture. I don't really think that it's like explicit as some people are leading it on to be. But like, how do you feel about like a physical gesture like this being banned at a certain place? For instance, the Overwatch League. It seems like to me like this is like kind of hard to enforce. You know, it's kind of subjective, and you know, I think with this one explicitly, like, you know, it's not like pulling your pants down and like showing everybody your butt. It's like, you know, some people do use this like as the OK sign. Like I know that I do from time to time. So like, I don't know. What are your overall thoughts?
I'm sorry to say this, but I actually did that in high school once. I pulled up against out of show. I got kicked out of chorus for it.
That's great.
So like that just flashed in my head, but that's either there. No, I just can't believe that this is what it's come to this, that just a symbol using your I mean, what if someone was using gang symbols, you know, would they ban those? That's my question. That's like something that's involved with, you know, violence and, you know, taking advantage of people and whatnot, and they probably wouldn't ban that if someone threw up like a Crip sign. But if they threw the OK sign, and how much information do we have that we know that the OK, have they like adopted it as their main hand gesture for, you know, to like communicate with each other or something like that? Like I don't understand.
I think
like,
it depends on. It hasn't been very clear to me. It seems like it's like it depends on who you ask. It's like, you know, some people will say that yes, it has, and then other people will say that it's like a meme started by 4chan, and I like, you know, I just have no idea.
You know, the way that I look at this is like, I don't understand why, you know, when we're dealing with hand gestures, like why would you want people not to be able to do that if it identifies them as something, or if you think that it identifies them as something? Like then, like if they make that hand gesture, you can, question them about it and get to the, crux of the matter. Like I just it doesn't resonate with me on any level why such things need banned. It's just like we've talked about before. I think that it's pandering and catering, just doing something that's going to make a subset of people happy, but it doesn't really fucking make any sense to me, like on any level.
No, this really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And honestly, I don't want to get into like the whole origins of like the okay hand gesture or anything like that, but I see it a lot in those like TikTok memes and stuff where people are doing
Oh, really?
the but it's like inverted, but if you look at the circle game or whatever and you get
Oh, yeah,
punched,
yeah.
like remember that from high school. It's starting to make like a comeback here.
No.
This is kind of like a popular thing, and I don't want to. I don't know what the implicit you know intentions of this hand gesture were in the context of the video, but I've seen it, and just from the kid, he's like standing behind an interview going on. All you can see is like the top of his hand. So like,
Yeah.
he's getting people to look at his hand. That's it. He's not doing anything else. He's not wearing a white supremacist shirt or something. I don't even know what that would be. But it it didn't feel like there was any kind of malice or anything, with the gesture or anything like that. But I guess in this case, in a lot of cases, it is just you got to look at everyone individually, right? And I think they kind of missed the mark here. I can kind of understand the Pepe the Frog thing being banned. There's a lot behind that, but like this okay hand gesture and like the ambiguity of the gesture itself, its origins, what this person probably meant with it. All those things considered, I don't think that banning a hand gesture, one as common as this, is necessarily the right answer.
Yeah, I think to Ben's point, it seems like it was the Twitter outrage that sparked this, and like I feel like companies just need to like stop caving on things that are as like ridiculous as this. Just because like 5 people point out that they don't like that somebody put the okay hand sign up, like doesn't mean that it needs banned across your whole entire league.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple points to make. I think for one, like if you want to compare it like to other things, like other hand gestures or whatever, like okay, like if somebody was doing like the Nazi salute on there, I get that. I would ban that because like that had a place in history where people actually killed people and millions of people, and like that gesture was associated with that. That I would understand. But this, like Wolf was saying, very ambiguous. Like there's
Yeah.
lots of there's I don't think there's one meaning to it, and I don't think like most people, like average people, I don't even think they would know what it is. Like they wouldn't say that it was. You know what I mean? Like if I went up to my parents and did the OK symbol, they wouldn't even bat an eye
Yeah.
at it.
Oh well,
Yeah.
You know
no,
what I
because
mean?
people just use it. Yeah, sort of like my
Right.
92-year-old grandma uses it. Like without even thinking,
Right.
she's just saying okay. Yeah, like
Right.
it's kind of yeah, and she's obviously not a hateful person. At least I don't think.
Yeah. Right. And then
she's got like a dark secret past I don't know about.
Well, obviously she's all white and a white supremacist. We know that much now.
She's like from Italy, but yeah.
yeah. And then like next point would be to like a group of people can get mad at any gesture and just say that like that means something, and then if enough people jump on the bandwagon, then they're gonna have to ban it because you're offending some minority of people, and you can't. You know what I mean? Everybody has to be included.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I could give like the peace symbol, and that somebody could say that that's what the fuck ever, and
Yeah,
you
I
can't
mean,
do
you
that
could.
anymore. Just a giant group of people could just get on the train and be like, that means this. We can't have that anymore, and like
Yeah.
the company's gonna respond to it.
Yeah, I think
Right.
that's a really, really good point, Dave. That
Mhm.
I mean, that takes it a step further and a little bit deeper. It's like, yeah, I mean, where do you draw the line? And like, there's so many like, I think this is kind of like a weird point to make, but like, there's so many things that you can do with your hands to make a certain symbol. Like, you can do the okay, you can do the peace sign, or you can do like the Star Trek thing. And other than that, like, you're kind of out of options. So like, it's a little bit weird to ban that out. And I think like
Yeah,
we've all been
and, like,
saying, it
like,
seems
for me, like,
harmless.
I would like universally people, if you would see the Nazi salute, you'd be like, okay, that's bad, right? But like most people, if you go up and give them the okay sign, nobody's gonna even bat an eye at it because that's not like a universal thing that people like that has some relevance in history. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like if I give you the Nazi salute and I give my parents, and like everybody knows what that is, but if I give my parents the OK symbol, they're gonna be like,
Yeah.
they wouldn't even think that I did anything.
There's not much context to it, you know.
Right. Exactly.
This may be a little bit extreme, but I think that all symbolism should be allowed. If someone wants to walk around, if someone's dumb enough to walk around with a Nazi symbol on their fucking leather jacket or whatever, let the jackass, at least we know where he's at, you know, rather than like if these things are banned or whatever, they're not, then there's no transparency anymore. So that's my opinion. If people want to express themselves and they believe in something that's that, you know, disgusting, and they really believe in the ideology behind that, like, have at it, man. Like, then you
Right.
can't organize and shit. Like,
Right.
you
Well, and
know,
like you make a good point about that too, because like if somebody was openly like a Nazi or whatever, 99.9% of the people like on the planet are just gonna completely ignore them and tell them to fuck off. You
exactly.
know what I mean? Like they're gonna have no support for anything.
Mm-mm.
You
It's not like
literally
people
like
are
couldn't
gonna
even have a job. Like you couldn't even make a
Right.
living.
No.
Exactly. Like sometimes you let people
Or a
do
good
shit like
job,
that,
at
and like
least.
they'll just, you know what I mean. The consequences will come naturally.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You will be punished naturally.
Yeah, because people think that like it's up to these companies and whatnot. Like when it really comes down to it, if people generally, when they see the really bad stuff, will band together and be like, "Hey, get the fuck out of here!" Like we don't need these companies to ban it and shit. Like if something's really morally gone wrong, and somebody was doing something to like take advantage of being on, you know, in view of that interview or whatever, like people would be like, get the fuck out of here, and they would just dismiss it, you know, like. So I don't know.
I think that's a pretty good point, Ben. And just not to add like another thing to the mix here, but like just like another point on how ridiculous the OK hand gesture thing has gotten. I was actually reading that like in the new Mortal Kombat game that just came out, I think it's number 11. Like Johnny Cage used to do that like thing where like he'd put his like the OK thing like down by his waist. Like if you looked at it, like he like punches the screen.
Yeah.
I believe it's like an end of the game thing. Well, like they got forced to remove that, and now instead of doing the OK hand gesture, he actually just flicks you off, which apparently is better now. Instead of it's a good replacement.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I thought you guys might like that. Yeah, it's fucking.
That's awesome.
It's a riot. Yeah.
The actual established symbol for go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
is
like
okay.
Like
but...
the one thing I learned as a little kid, like not to do, right? It's like the thing that you can now do. Yeah, it's completely backwards. But moving on to the next one, so Sony has a new set of guidelines for regulating the sexually explicit content in the games sold on their own platform. So normally how this has always worked in the past is that the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, the ESRB, will give the game a rating. Like I'm sure we've all seen them, like E for everyone, T for teen, M for mature, etc. There were also games that were labeled as adults only, and these games were never sold on any platforms. And I assume that these were probably just like pornos or something. Like I've never played them, but like that's why we've never seen them on any platforms. But anything like from that was E, T, or M would always be available on across all platforms. Players had discovered like slight changes to games released on the PS4 from versions that were released on other systems and other platforms. Like for instance, in the adult visual novel Nekopara Volume 1, the game consists of more steam during bath scenes and the removal of sliders to make breasts bouncier. And then in Devil May Cry 5, there is a light beam that was added during a cutscene on the Sony version to cover up a female character's exposed butt. Which, like, these are very, very minor things. Like, I don't want to, like, get into, like, that, the light beam and stuff. But Sony has stated that it wants to create a marketplace that, and I quote here, does not inhibit the sound growth and development of young people. They have also stated that the company is concerned that it could become a target of legal and social action for including this type of content in games sold on their platform. So I don't know how you guys feel about this. Like I always felt that the ESRB rating system was working just as intended. You know, anything that was too graphic would just not be available on any platforms and like wouldn't be available to anybody. And then also like the mature games like shouldn't be being sold to kids. I mean, that's how it's supposed to work. Like if they're getting their hands on them, or if parents are buying them for them, like that's kind of like the family's problem, I think, like not the platforms. Like how can they control that? But how do you feel about Sony taking this into their own hands and kind of going away from the ESRB?
Well, I've seen that even, well, just to take it another step further, I guess, that some of these changes that were made were even just like US only. Like I think the Devil May Cry one, like in Japan, the original release of the game on the PlayStation didn't even censor that thing out. So I guess it kind of speaks like, culturally, like where we're at right now, and I guess what the subject matter, that kind of thing. But
yeah, that's interesting. I actually read that too. That is interesting why they would split that between countries like that.
It really makes you wonder, because like for such a long time I wasn't alive, but our parents could probably speak to this. Like, we're in the 60s and 70s, weren't they fighting for things more to this, to things to be sexualized and let people express themselves in that way and everything. And now it seems like we're like reverting back to this, like censor everything, don't let the kids see it, don't let the adults see it.
Like what I was kind of seeing with this story is that, like, I think Sony felt pressured into doing this because they don't want the legal action to come back from, like, some sort of social movement for like them selling these games on the platform, and like they didn't want to have like any legal recourse or something for some kind of like blowback like that.
It just seems like it's like super, everyone's in a mode where everyone's super cautious. So are these lawsuits and these things that are happening, are they that detrimental? Like, how much money are people
Well, like for me, like
lawsuits?
how much legal action could they actually take? Like, don't you, like, by playing the game, like, agree to the terms of service and like basically you're fucked?
Yeah.
Or am I just not right by that?
Well, the ESRB ratings, that should be all the legalities about it. There shouldn't be it, you know what I mean? There shouldn't be anything that should be able to slip through the cracks where they're,
Yeah, plus, like, if I'm mad at a game or something, or like mad that my kid's playing a game, I'm not going after like Sony for having it on the platform. I'm like more mad at the developer, I think.
Well, I bet there are some people that would go after Sony.
That, or just like be a fucking parent and like watch what your kid's doing.
Right.
It's like nobody wants, like, I've definitely said this many times. It all goes like no one wants fucking responsibility anymore. Like, it's always someone else's fault. It's never your fault.
Sure.
Like, fucking own up and like, like keep an eye on your kids, or like do, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard.
Right.
Like, that's your job as a parent.
Yeah, you have to step up if we're talking about that, then you have to step up as a parent and make sure that you're taking the extra time and effort in order to make sure they're not exposed to this stuff at a young age.
And I think that this ties like hand in hand with the Steam review bombs that we talked about before too, and like what I was saying about like how like all online platforms like don't need to like try to police themselves, because, and Dave, to your point, like, the individual has to have responsibility to like look at and read and like process information like at like their own rate and their own pace and interpret them like in their own way. Like, it's not really up to the platform to do that or the company to do that. Like, I don't know why like all these platforms think that they have to.
Well, I don't think well, now I'm thinking into this in a good way, I think. in the right way. The truth, I think, of the matter is that may just be an excuse for them to tone down this because new people have been introduced to the company that don't want to objectify women, and that's fine, but like I wish they would be more transparent about it. I don't think that this, because the ESR
I don't know.
ratings,
I don't know about that or not. Just because, like, I think to Adam's point, like, I think they're leaving a lot of it intact, like on the Japanese side. So it seems like it's more like on the U.S. side that this is like really taking more effect.
I think they're definitely afraid of. I don't think it's any kind of like legal repercussions, but or any kind of like
fan base.
Yeah,
stirring up
that
the fan base.
once you get that kind of like stigma, that kind of these kind of announcements, like like this like sexist or whatever this might be, whatever kind of label you're gonna slap onto Sony or any of the other companies for having this kind of content on their platform. I mean, it's just gonna make you look worse. Whether that's directly their fault or they had anything to do with it in the first place. They allowed him to be on there.
Yep.
So I guess I don't like the stance that they've taken. They're kind of like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, white knighting this, like, oh, look at us, like we're not showing this stuff. We're not letting you make the booby bouncer, slider in our games because we're above that. It's silly. It's sad that you have to preemptively kind of, toe the line,
so the mob doesn't come after you.
Right.
Yeah,
so down the
but
road, people don't start complaining.
It's like, I just don't know people who have these that think like this. It's I don't even think I encounter them in my day to day when I'm talking to people at work or anything like that. That dudes I talk to would be like, show me the boobies, that some of the chicks that I talk to would be like, yeah, let me see the boobies. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't get who doesn't like the boobies.
Yeah.
I've said this before. Okay. I understand the children aspect of it, but like for the most part, it's that are playing these games that are like really like sexualized and everything. It's mostly adults.
It is. Yeah, and not the Devil May Cry is sexualized, but yeah, the adult visual novel game. I mean,
Mechapara.
Yeah.
One.
Hence the name, or hence the adult visual novel.
I think you probably know what you're getting yourself into, right?
I'm gonna have to check that out, boy. Just take it.
And like, isn't it still a fucking video game too? It's not like it's live action porn or something.
Yeah.
It's fucking digital shit.
They're hardly video games, those visual novels, but yeah, you're right.
I kind of like. I like the.
I'm a visual novel connoisseur.
Yeah, I consume them from time to time. I partake.
Yeah, they're more just relaxing,
I can't justify spending money on one of those things, but
I got it. It was on sale. I think it was like $2 or something.
Oh, okay.
The Wolf Among Us was really good. I really like that.
Like, I won't even get the Steins Gate one, and I love Steins Gate.
Oh yeah, I've actually looked at that before too, but I haven't bought it. All right, let's move down to this third one. So I think this is the most important one, because the whole premise to this story is like I think extremely scary. So TF Blade was suspended for 30 days on Twitch for allegedly saying the N-word, and TF Blade, if you don't know, is just like a popular League of Legends streamer. So he appealed the ban, stating that he did not say a racial slur, and I went and listened to the clip. He clearly does not say anything bannable. The word in question, he actually is clearly saying idiots. I listened to it like 10 times. Like it's idiots. I know it for a fact. Instead of removing the suspension right off the bat, Twitch instead reduced it from 30 days to 7 days. And I have some email, like a quote from email correspondence from Twitch to TF Blade. So what they said was that Twitch takes hateful conduct extremely seriously. I believe you when you say you weren't being hateful, but it's really hard to argue with the fact that several people on the partner conduct team heard the N-word in an objective review of your clip. And after this all wrapped up, after 3 days, the suspension was finally lifted and TF Blade was back on the platform. That's kind of how it wrapped. But I feel like the quote from Twitch kind of scares me the most, because it's a really scary premise. It shows that you're completely at the mercy of these platforms. Like judging just from what was said, it seems like, okay, so some people on this partner conduct team heard something that wasn't really there, and like they, I don't know, maybe brought up the chain and made the move to suspend TF Blade. But like now that Twitch streamers are able to make like a real living on this platform, and it's what they do every day, and they have sponsors, like doing this and like actually not having a real reason for this can really ruin somebody's livelihood, like in a really big way, and like this can have vast repercussions into the future as well. I think that like while Twitch is able to do whatever they want with their platform and their own community, it has to be more careful when suspending people, especially high profile streamers.
Yeah. Any time with this, when you start this kind of banning, and I mean this is just banning for breaking the rules and whatnot, but like when you become hypersensitive of this, like things are gonna get bad for people who, like you said, use this as a source of income. It's their job, right? Like if they really start to get strict about this, lots of people are going to be off of Twitch. You know what I mean? Like it's and what is acceptable and what's not acceptable? Who's making these rules up, right? That's the question that I have to ask. Like, because whoever is making these rules up, it's very important that we have somebody who's level-headed, who's just has good morals and is not, isn't following an ideology or whatever. They have to just this is just suspect to be taken by someone who's extreme about it if they were to be in control of this. Like for instance is like what you saw with Joe Rogan and that whoever the Twitter
Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, and the girl that he brought on, she obviously is a left-leaning and I would say extremely liberal person who's, well, liberal's not the, in her mind she's liberal, but there's just it seems like if the wrong person is calling the shots, things could be really bad for people, and usually they're very self-righteous, so it's difficult.
Yeah,
you don't want people saying things like that, but at the same time, like, it could get out of control really quickly.
Definitely the worst part about this. I mean, I'm not a TF Blade fan. I personally, I've watched the streams. I don't even like him, but he obviously did not say the N-word. I listened to it multiple times. It's incredibly clear that all he says is idiots, and the comments to this kind of thing, man, it's mind-blowing how many linguists are out there right now that are trying to talk about the mouth formations of words and how impossibly hard it would be to like confuse the two, and that this is some kind of like you know those images and stuff, like some people see like a red dress and other people see like
it was the white gold, the blue black. Yeah,
things like that. They're trying to say it's like this because, man, maybe it's just like that. Like, then these people actually heard it. Like, no, it's pretty blatant. He has a little bit of an accent, but
okay. I didn't hear that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, this like partner conduct team
could have heard anything.
Yeah, right. It could literally. If that's really what they heard, I mean, they need to get a new partner conduct team. I'll say that's egregiously bad to label somebody for saying a word that's this obviously charged, I guess, to put it one way. There's a lot of baggage with the word. You're gonna slap that on somebody, and they're gonna have to live with that.
I think he also threw the okay hand gesture up when he said it too.
Oh, double the damage.
Yeah, he was doubling. He wasn't even on the keyboard and mouse. Yeah, he had both of them. Yeah.
It's terrible.
Okay. Yeah, he was double okay.
Yeah, he was asking for it. I kind of don't feel bad for him though.
Yeah, how are you gonna? I'm sure he'll recover, but maybe other people may not be as fortunate down the road. They may never recover from something like this, and he may not recover from it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if like sponsors like to pull out early on these kind of things because they don't want the heat of like all the bad press. So like you could lose a sponsor from this on day one, or like within a few hours, and like if it's not resolved right off the bat, like you're not going to get them back. Like they're gone. Like you can say 3 days later, like no, like look, I didn't actually say this. Like Twitch said, Twitch was in the wrong. Well, your sponsor doesn't care. Like they've moved on. Like they're on the I'm a Cutie Pie stream.
Yeah, right. They made a decision, and at the time, and they moved forward. They don't need to go back and reevaluate.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things I want to ask that I might get some flack for. So are black people allowed to say the N-word on Twitch?
I have no idea, but probably not.
I would say probably not.
I would hope so, but yeah.
I think what really scared me the most about this was like in the email that we kind of talked about it, Adam, like you mentioned it, like with like people trying to defend them and saying that they could have heard anything, which like everybody's ears work the same. I don't understand. Like to a certain hearing degree, but like like there's so like like the quote again, like I believe you when you say you weren't being hateful, but it's really hard to argue with the fact that several people on the partner conduct team all heard the N-word in an objective review of your clip. Like, okay, like it's hard to argue with the fact that several people heard it. Well, like that, like you can say that about anything. Like 3 people at Twitch can say that they heard like fucking anything at any time, and like this could just happen again. Like obviously whoever's writing this email like didn't watch the clip, right? Like at least that's what I'm getting from it.
What I don't understand is, for me, unless like you got like ticks in your ears or something, or you're deaf, like it clearly doesn't say it. There's video evidence that shows he doesn't say it. Like,
yeah, I mean it's
literally, it couldn't be any more clear. And if it's not clear to you're making something up in your own head.
right.
Yeah, it's literally, I think you guys underestimate the power of when people are like looking for shit, right? Like they'll make it up in their head, and if someone like, if 2 people were reviewing this and they're sitting beside each other, and they go, "Oh, he just said the N-word," and then the guy's like, "Yeah, he might have just said the N-word," and then they go grab someone else real quick, and they're like, "He said the N-word," you know what I mean? Like they that's probably how it went down.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that you just said the N-word, Ben.
I did say that.
I heard it. Yeah, isn't there like a study or something that like, you know, if like 2 people say that like they saw or heard something, like it's not as widely accepted, but if there's 3 people that say it, like normally like you can get somebody else to believe it, because like they all think, like they think that like if 3 people heard and saw something, then it's probably true.
I think that it has
Have you guys
to
heard
be
that before? Am I losing my mind?
Yeah, no,
yeah, maybe
Cry wolf kind of thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think that you're right, Matt, that this is either just that quote there is either just a lie, or it was something like that, like the domino effect. Like maybe people didn't even see it and they just want to believe the people so bad that, yeah, he did say it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
I just don't like the it's hard to argue part. Like, well, no, I mean it isn't hard to argue that, because like it's a 10-second clip. Just go listen to it. Like, it's actually the easiest thing to argue, I would say, maybe ever.
Right. You have
It's
video
weird.
Footage. There is no argument, right?
It's really strange, but just like to rope all of these in, I think like into a larger conversation. Like, we've all agreed that it's a very, very positive thing for gaming culture that it's being widely accepted, and that a lot of people are being introduced to video games and they can enjoy them. Like that's definitely a great thing, and like I hope that, you know, everybody gets a chance to play and enjoy video games. But like when anything gains widespread popularity and, you know, makes a lot of money, which like video games are now bigger than Hollywood, like they're making a lot of money, they start to get hit with more attention and a lot more scrutiny, and like people's focus like really hone in on these things. And I mean that's definitely happening with video games. Like I'm like a little bit worried about that. Like just like these things are like, all these 3 examples are all like really not that serious. I mean maybe the TF Blade one is, just because I think that premise is scary, but like the okay hand gesture, whatever, like the Sony thing, whatever, like it's menial, it's not that big of a deal. But like these all are very, very slippery slope kind of things. And like when these things start coming into play, I feel like they can really get blown out of proportion. Do you guys think that we're going to start seeing like more of this in the future, or do you think that there's even like the slightest chance that maybe like that doesn't happen? Like maybe like that prediction is wrong?
I think unfortunately, we've talked about this before, we're going to see this in, I mean, we see it in everything, right? In every industry is just this heightened, everyone has to be aware of what they're saying and essentially just scared that they're going to lose their job or they're going to get sued, and I think that for a period of time that it's going to continue to trend upwards, and then we're going to realize that it's not sustainable to do that, and we're going to realize that like we're really putting people, you know, decent people who are trying to, you know, make a living or, you know, do their creative things on Twitch and content creation stuff. And these people are really good people, and we're putting them in a situation where they either don't have to, they can't express themselves truthfully. And I mean that through game developers as well too. And like when you get into a situation like that, it's just bad. We we need to take a step back and have a more balanced approach. I get why people, want to have why they want to express these things about, racism and sexism. I get it. We should hear them out. But moving forward, there needs to be a more balanced approach where you're thinking about everybody and you're thinking about content creators, you're thinking about the developer, just balanced approach rather than just leaning towards one idea, one ideology, or, just leaning towards censorship in general. It's just bad, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more there. I like at the end there what you're saying, that you got to take a more balanced approach, and the common theme in all three of these stories here is that everyone's kind of doing this knee jerk reaction, and I think in most cases they're probably going to get a really bad result, whether it's individual like punishment, whether you're having censorship on your entire platform, whether banning hand gestures, things like that. They seem like really extreme. Some of these seem like really extreme responses to very, very small issues, which I think could, really spiral out of control.
Yeah, I feel like the Twitter outrage machine, I feel like, has been going on for a while now. Like, I feel like, don't companies have to catch on that, like, it's not like a real thing, and that, like, it's not a big percentage of people? Like, don't they have to realize it at some point?
You would think. I think my biggest thing with the whole thing is just like it's kind of like now, like the popular thing right now is outrage culture, right? I don't think there's like it's just like the cool like the thing now is like if something happens, there always has to be a group of people that is outraged and they can't take it and it's so bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like the thing right now, outrage culture. You have to be somebody has to get like unreasonably upset about something that like is pretty generally insignificant in the grand scheme. And then but these like minority groups of people are so like passionate about it and so against it and so like hurt by it that they just project their voices out, and like companies are so afraid of like bad publicity or whatever that they feel forced to make an action to appease a very small subset of people, when in the grand scheme like you're creating censorship problems or freedom of speech problems or other things like that.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there.
I think that's my main.
Yeah, and just to go back and say, like, the important part for me and the way that I look at this is, like, we need to stop vilifying each other so much, and we need to like look. I mean, this is gonna sound like very like guru-y or whatever, but like you gotta like look in within yourself and realize like these are just people, and it just seems strange to me that this is the way that it's handled with it's just so extremely everything that someone is saying, you have to realize that you are capable of that. And like if you can't like show like a little bit of passion and understanding, like yes, when someone goes too far, they have to be reprimanded in some way, but like it's just unwise. It's just unwise and naive to me, all of this.
I don't want to like take this too deep here, but like I think something like I'm starting to realize, just like as we're having this conversation, like it seems like games are supposed to be entertainment, and I feel like people need to start like
acting like they're entertainment.
Remember that they're entertainment and like have fun with this stuff. Like, the kid at the Overwatch League, like he's just having a good time, right? Like he's trying to enjoy himself. He's at a live event of a game he loves. Like he's trying to have fun. And you don't have to take everything super serious. And I feel like maybe this is a symptom of like people not having anything like actually that matters in their lives, and maybe like games and movies and entertainment are actually like the thing that they care about most. Which is that's a huge problem. And I think like we're seeing that problem just like sift through the culture in like waves and waves. And like I don't really know if that'll get better unless like that like meaning of importance in their lives is filled with something that isn't Overwatch League,
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think it will get better. I'll try to be optimistic, but I do think that we have to go a little bit more deeper into the muck of all this shit before it does get better. Unfortunately, I mean, I just think that
I agree with that 100%. It's just like culture shifts over time, and it's just it's like it's cultures are almost like goes through, at least our culture, like American culture, goes through like like phases or fads even,
Yep.
and things kind of like grow and then die. And I think this will eventually die, but yeah, I think there's still
We got some more ahead of us,
yeah,
unfortunately.
there's
some
still
ways to
some
go.
track. There's still some track that needs to be run down.
Does anybody else have any comments they'd like to make on any of these topics individually, or just like censorship as a whole before we move down to trending?
Let it all out, baby.
Okay, let's.
Was that an N-word?
I don't know. You might have heard something different than me. I think that our
No,
ears
when I
pick
said
up.
let it all out, I meant like everybody can
Was that
say
it?
whatever they want.
The way your mouth forms to say out is not the same as it would, to say the N-word. So
Yeah, I heard Yanny.
Guys, this podcast is my livelihood. Don't kick me off here. I can't. Please.
I know if I lose
Please.
$0 income, I'm in big trouble. All right, so it was the Game Boy's 30th anniversary last week. It was released on April 21st, 1989. Obviously, like, makes us feel super old. That's like kind of a corny thing to say, but whenever I read that, I actually did feel like really, really old. The Game Boy played a huge role in my childhood. It probably played a large role in your guys' too. I know that we've all talked about having them, but just like playing them on long trips to vacation in the car, and it introduced me to Pokemon, which is like was my favorite series. Like I loved playing Pokemon on the Game Boy, Pokemon Blue, all the way. But I thought it'd be nice just like to kind of go through some of our favorite games and favorite memories with the Game Boy. Obviously not a lot of people play them now, but like. I mean, they were awesome, right? At least from my perspective.
They were really awesome, Matt. They were the most awesome.
They were.
Game Boy
The
Color.
awesome.
That was my Christmas present. I don't know, maybe it was like 4 or 5 or something when the Game Boy Color and Pokemon Blue version. I remember it very fondly. That was an amazing Christmas. I would remember that forever. But the Game Boy, it definitely had its flaws, and I would say batteries would probably be the biggest obstacle that, people probably just don't even have to contend with that really anymore. Everything is kind of like charge on its own. I still remember when my dad would get all annoyed with me that I'd be swapping out all the batteries on the remote controls
the TV
for
remotes. Yep.
Because you had to play.
Yeah,
It was more
your battery light would start getting like real dim. I'd be like, how much time do I have left? It's like a ticking time bomb.
The lighting was also, for as great as the Game Boy was, I had that little
get a worm light
attachment.
bro.
Yeah, the worm
The
light.
worm light.
Man, that would suck your battery dry.
Worm light was so good. I still use a worm light for my Samsung Galaxy S8. Yeah, it really lights it up. Fits right in your pocket.
Worm light,
on the go.
Oh no!
Well, like at the time, like that was like cutting edge shit,
Oh
like,
yeah,
that's the like.
It was the coolest thing when I got my light, dude. I was pumped.
Yep. No more sleeping. You could play Game Boy whenever you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, my dad would poke in at night. He'd like, go to bed, throw a rock at me.
I would hit you with your pet rock.
Yeah, my bed rock. Put me right to bed.
As far as games go, like I was really trying to think back at like what I used to play, and obviously my fondest memory is Pokemon. I mean, it's like not even close. But I remember like I used to play the Pokemon trading card game too, which I remember was like a black cartridge. Like I loved that game. Do you guys have that?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I have that.
It was the best.
That's because like
Pinball.
whenever I collected the cards as a kid, like no one knew what the fuck to do with them or how to play it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We just had like it's just like you had Charizard, you're a badass. But like that actually taught me what the fuck to do.
Yep.
Like how to play it.
I never had a Charizard to this day. Like I kind of feel neglected. Yeah.
I feel like most people probably didn't.
Dude.
I
don't know if we can be friends anymore.
I didn't have one.
I mean, not all of us, like, had a money tree out in the
Well,
backyard.
I was in my infant brain. I liked Bulbasaur because my favorite color was blue.
Did you pick Bulbasaur in the games?
Isn't
Bulbasaur is
green?
green, bro.
Yeah, Bulbasaur's green.
No, I meant Squirtle.
Squirtle.
I meant Squirtle. He, that's you know. No, I did pick Bulbasaur. Never mind.
No way.
Squirtle was. I mean, the game Squirtle was the Bulbasaur one. Was there a green one?
No,
No, yeah, there was no green cartridge. It was just.
no. I think it was a
Yeah,
Japan thing.
Yeah,
Or-
that was, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, green.
okay.
Leaf Green came out way later.
Japan
Yeah, Leaf
always
Green
takes
came out
bullshit.
later.
Did you guys ever play the Final Fantasy Legend? They had 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-mm.
I did, yeah. Those weren't that great.
No, they weren't. But I played the shit out of those, dude.
Now, a great gem on the Game Boy, RPG wise, was Golden Sun. That was a great
Oh
game.
yeah, that was a really good one.
And then one that probably most people didn't play that was very Pokemon-esque, really popular franchise, Dragon Warrior, but Dragon Warrior Monsters was like a Pokemon style
played that.
game. It was amazing. It was a
And
lot
the
more in depth.
Zeldas, I remember playing the original Zelda, like a
Yeah, I had Zelda. I think I had like Link's Awakening. If that's even
Yeah.
a title for
Yep.
for a Zelda game, I think that's what I had. It was so hard though, I never could beat it.
I couldn't either. That game was really tough.
You
I don't know
guys
if it was
got
the
baby
controls or what.
brain.
I mean, I would always hit this point where I had no idea where to go. It would be I like get to like the third temple or something, and I just like couldn't figure it out. And I feel like a lot of people probably had that same problem.
I remember with the Final Fantasy, the Legend games, my brother would always make fun of me because I would get to a point, I'd get pretty far in the game, and then I'd get to where like the bosses got exceptionally hard. And I'd be like begging him, crying, like, help me beat this boss. I know you beat it. He'd be like, no, you gotta figure it out your own way, boy.
There's no way Josh beat anything.
He had the guide out. But isn't that kind of
yeah.
funny that it kind of like speaks to games in general now that how linear everything is today, but back then like games were really RPGs in general, they were all pretty like open world esque, I guess. Not a lot of direction, that kind of thing. You could very easily just get backtracked, go to the wrong place. Not
and then
talk to
get
the right
crushed by like random encounters. You know what I mean? Like you would like be in a really hard area, and that's how you know to get the hell out. You fight
was
something
really-
that like dusts you.
Really the only way. Maybe that's why Pokemon was probably so popular, because it was so like
Story streamlined.
Yeah, there wasn't like a lot of story to really.
Yeah, they
really
didn't let you go
overcome.
till like at least halfway to 3/4 of the way through the game.
They kind of explain like, oh, you need like the cut ability to
Yeah.
chop this tree down to get to this new like pass. You had like a pretty like clear cut objective at any point in time. Like, oh, I need to get the next gym badge. But memories of there was a lot of great games, but Game Boy.
I'm trying it now. I feel kind of silly because I feel like I've played a bunch of games.
I know
on
I
there,
had like
and then
I had a Super Mario game that I used to play a lot, just like a normal one, and then I had it was like Super Mario Brothers Deluxe or something. I forget what it was called. And then I know I had a Kirby one too. And like Kirby's Dream Land 2 or
Kirby,
something.
yeah, that's what I was gonna
But I
say.
mean, like, I really liked that game.
You had Final Fantasy IV. Amazing game.
They had Final Fantasy IV?
Do they have
Pretty
Donkey?
sure.
Do they have Donkey Kong Country on Game Boy?
Maybe. I don't think I had that one.
I remember like there was like a Wario game too. You could be like Wario instead of Mario.
Yeah, I vaguely
That's
remember that
great,
as
too.
well.
It was Mario Kart out?
No, I think that was newer.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Tetris.
Yeah,
Did anybody
that's
play
a game.
Tetris?
That is a game,
that's a
yeah.
game. Yeah,
Oh, how about
Yeah,
Dr. Mario?
yeah, Dr.
Well, that-
Mario.
Was that on Game Boy, or are we talking
No,
about like
that was
Nintendo
original.
games?
That was a Nintendo game originally, but then it did come out on Game Boy. I love that game.
Super
The
Sma-
sounds.
Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Mm-hmm. That was a great one.
Great one.
Star Fox.
Let's move on to the next one. GameStop records a $673 million loss in 2018, so they kind of got smoked. It seems to me like GameStop's not going to be around for much longer. Obviously, this is just a symptom of physical copies of games becoming more and more obsolete. How do you guys feel about a lot of these brick and mortar stores going away? Like, it's obviously just a changing of the times. Me personally, I prefer to just download games online. So like, I mean, I really wouldn't use GameStop anyway, but like there is a piece of me that like is a little bit nostalgic for going into GameStop if you're in the mall and just like hanging around, you know, or like picking a new game off the shelf or something that I think I'll miss.
Bullshitting with the little bit older guys behind the counter.
Yeah, they know like
with
everything about games. Yeah, they're like telling you what to pick.
With the chin beards, or with not the chin or the neck beards. They're like slobbering on you, like, yeah, you want to try it, man?
I actually don't really like those guys just because like I feel like when I was younger I didn't really know like what games to get, and actually a guy from GameStop actually recommended Kingdom Hearts to me. Actually, a friend's mom had bought it for me because like we went to the mall. I forget exactly what happened, but like he was getting a game, so like she bought one for me too, and I had gotten Kingdom Hearts 1, and I don't think I would have bought that if that wasn't the case. And that pretty much revolutionized everything for me.
That's gonna, after people start listening to this podcast, it's gonna turn around GameStop's sales. They're gonna make a little comeback.
673 million profit.
No, the one thing that I wanted to say was I was taken aback when I started getting really active on Twitter and started following a lot of people to realize how many people buy physical copies and still buy like the special editions and stuff.
I noticed that too.
I couldn't believe it because I haven't done that shit. Well, I haven't had a console since.
I'll tell you what, it is cool having like a collection of things, especially like if you care about them and they're like experiences like a Kingdom Hearts or something. Like I wish I still had the fucking physical copy of that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I also was gonna say. It's really cool to realize that people are that passionate about it. You know, I see a lot of people on Twitter that have pictures of like their layout of all the games that they have, and they have old school games and stuff. It's really cool. I kind of respect that, you know.
I think it's awesome. Yeah, I think it's cooler than like collecting cards or something, like having those bigger pieces.
Hell yeah, especially if you have the consoles that can play them. Just imagine like when you're older, like, and you got your kids. I mean, they probably wouldn't be interested, or like you can reminisce with a friend when you're like 45 or whatever. Yeah.
I don't like the idea of my kids getting their grimy hands all over my video game collection. But that's where I kind of draw the line. I'm not gonna miss GameStop if it goes away, but I kind of miss the precursor, that kind of coexisted with GameStop. I don't know if you guys had one, but I had like a local it was like an audio video store, but they also did like games and they did all kinds of music and stuff.
CD Zone.
It was sort of similar to like that, but it wasn't. I don't know if that's a chain, but this wasn't a chain. You know, it was like the mom and pop kind of version of it. And
well, we probably went there together.
Oh, this was when I lived in Ohio.
Oh, you little. I'm trying to build up our memory.
Yeah, well, that's I had like the fondest memories of stuff like that. Where honestly, there was like a degree of like haggling and stuff that went on there because like I was like real big on like my like trade-in values and stuff because this guy would just do his own, and it got to the point where like I was there so often that like he would just trade whatever. It'd be like, all right, I'll give you these 2 games for this 1 game, stuff like that. It was just those are like my real fond memories of like a brick and mortar store. And
that's really
I don't think we'll ever see that again.
That's really cool. There's like there's a few like cards places by Dave and I that are like Green Tree Sports Cards, Dave.
Yep.
And they have like memorabilia and shit like that. I mean, I don't know like exactly what they have like on hand, but like you can get some cool stuff there still.
Yeah, there's if you live in a major city, you can always find places like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna really miss that stuff. And if GameStop can't make it, how many of those kind of places?
You know what I was just thinking of?
Let's open something up. How cool would that be? I mean, that could just be our day job. We're just like hanging out. We've got like
just hanging out.
We've got
got
no
hanging out.
No customers to deal with. We're just like chilling.
Maybe some air conditioning in the summer.
Obviously, no
just hanging out.
Wives or anything like that. Just got the gamer house going.
Mm-hmm. No kids in the store. Can't touch anything.
No grimy hands.
Gamer house up top. Memorabilia store at the bottom.
Oh, I wanted to put a little. I wanted to say this real quick. If anyone listening to this can somehow make Monster Rancher come back,
Oh yeah, what a great series. That's a great series.
Maybe GameStop
Bring
will
back
do
I
it.
think I think the
Monster
devs are avid fans of ours.
Dude, Monster Rancher 1 and 2. Anybody listening? I know we have a huge viewership. Someone can make it happen. Make those games playable online. I'll do anything you ask. There's my Monster Rancher plug.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that in there. All right. So Jedi Fallen Order is the new Star Wars title from EA and Respawn. The game's going to be released completely single player with no microtransactions, and this is after like a lot of Star Wars releases lately that are like completely multiplayer and have like a ton of microtransactions, and a lot of players like have been giving a ton of pushback to those formats. The thing I don't really like about this is like the main selling point for the game from EA is that like it is single player and you don't have to buy anything, which like what a sad state for gaming if like this is the point that we've come to, that like that's like what you have to fall back on to sell your game. Like it's just ridiculous to me. And I feel also like that I've seen a lot of journalists like saying like, well, like you've been saying you want this, like now you better like show up and buy it and like show us that like you know you really want this. And now like I'm kind of thinking like, you know, maybe like I don't want to fucking buy it, like maybe just like shove it up your ass and like nobody can play your game, you know. It's like a catch-22.
Yeah, it really is. It that feels really bad when you frame it like that. I want another single player Star Wars RPG. We haven't had one. I guess you could say like that. I want to say Force Awakens, but that's not what it is. It's Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
Oh, what a game.
Which it was all right, but I was more of a Knights of the Old Republic
I thought
fan
it was cool.
back in the day.
I'm
but
more old school RPG, man.
yeah, it was a little too actiony. Hardly an RPG.
Yeah,
in any
but you
sense,
could. Yeah, but there were so many different colors of lightsabers that you could have. I used to have like the
Yeah.
black and white one. Oh,
I'm not gonna
man.
talk that much shit on
Get
that
that
game.
cool
I thought there
armor.
was they added a lot of cool mechanics and stuff to that game, and I know that you could like level up your shit and get stronger powers and stuff. So that game was cool. It just not totally my cup of tea.
You know, but instead of them just saying that, yeah, it's single player with no microtransactions, like maybe they just make a good damn game. How about that? And then we'll buy it.
I think that would probably do it. Yeah, I mean, like nobody cared that Battlefront 2 like was multiplayer and had like a few microtransactions. Like it just sucked.
Yeah, Madden 19, I hated that shit.
Oh, well,
Fun at
20's coming out, so you could. Pick
Oh
that
yeah, I'm sure it'll be great.
When
It's
are we
just-
gonna get? When are we gonna get developers who like Larian Studios and CD Projekt Red who just you don't fucking hear anything about them, you know, controversial shit, or like that they're like pandering to anybody or anything. They just make good shit, and like even if they do get involved with something, they shoot it down and they say we're just making fucking games, you know, and we're gonna make our games. Like we need that shit.
Yeah, it does seem like they just kind of like keep to themselves and just pump stuff out.
Yeah. And I think they're gonna benefit from that.
All EA has to do is just release like a remake of Shadows of the Empire, and like people would come out in droves to buy it. I bet.
You're talking about the 64?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that game was fucking dope.
Yep, your Dash Rendar.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to find Luke. Which like I don't even know where Dash Rendar like falls in the story, but it was such a good game.
Idea. He was just like a Han Solo type, you know, like badass.
Yep.
Dude, me and my brother played a lot of that game. I used to watch him play it, and then he would watch me play it.
Yeah, it's a great game. Really great game. You could fight the slave one, like Boba Fett's ship. That's a tough fight.
See,
Yeah. Well, anyway,
my brains over the years.
Yeah. All right, so
I just remember. Oh no, one thing.
Oh god.
Was it the Millennium Falcon that you did drive that around, didn't you? I remember battles with that, or am I thinking of something else?
Thinking of Rogue Squadron?
Pod racing?
I don't know.
Pod racing.
Pod racing. What a good.
That was a great game.
Yeah, I liked it.
That was a
I like
hard
playing
game,
that
if I
at
remember
Yeah,
arcade. I
correctly.
like the arcade version of that.
I used to be He used to be Mars Guo. He had the highest acceleration and top speed. Man, I'd be flying.
Is that
He'd,
a little guy? The guy who
he had,
flies
like,
around.
no handling though. Yeah, I'd be slamming into everything. Oh man, that's a great game.
Okay.
All right, so BlizzCon has been announced for 2019. It's going to be in Anaheim, California on November 1st and 2nd. The tickets are on sale in 2 waves. Once on May 4th and once on May 8th. There's 2 tiers of tickets available, well, actually 3, but I think like two main ones that people are going to go for. So it's $229 for the normal pass, $550 for the portal pass. And the portal pass gets you early access to the Dark Moon Fair for a new event called Night at the Fair, pretty fittingly. And it also gets you preferred parking and a separate line for registration and entry. Here's a quote from President of Blizzard Entertainment, J. Allen Brack. BlizzCon has served as a home away from home for the Blizzard community, a place where online friends can meet up in real life and new friendships are formed. We're looking forward to welcoming everyone to the show this year, reconnecting, celebrating, and sharing some of our latest developments. We went last year, and like I totally plan to go again as long as we can get tickets. Like, I absolutely loved it. It was my first gaming convention, and like it was like my favorite thing in the world. What are we looking forward to most this year?
Hearthstone.
That was a great tournament last year.
I had no idea what was going on, but it was.
I loved
We
it.
saw the guy? My favorite guy,
Travis
Gafford. Yeah,
you do like him.
He walked right by us.
You like him a lot.
Yeah, Double Lift wasn't with him, but
Well, I'll let you guys
Double
go
Lift
off
was there.
on the BlizzCon here, but I do want to bring up one thing. May 8th is a very special day.
What's that?
It's up there with, Christmas and Thanksgiving and Halloween.
Here we go.
like
What's it
all the
gonna
major
be?
holidays. President's Day, since a very important person was born on May 8th. Extremely important.
Tell me it was you.
Yes.
I actually didn't know.
My birthday.
I actually didn't know that, Ben. Well, hey, happy early birthday, bro.
Yeah. Just letting everybody know.
Thanks. What are you gonna be? 22?
23.
23.
Turning 23 this year.
23, nice. That's a big year. Also at BlizzCon, so there's going to be the Hearthstone Global Finals, StarCraft 2 World Championship Series, World of Warcraft Arena World Championship Finals, the World of Warcraft Mythic Dungeon Invitational, and the Overwatch World Cup. Unfortunately, no HOTS this year, which I kind of realized as I was like putting this into the outline. It's kind of a major bummer because that was a lot of fun watching that last year and playing like against the different people.
Hopefully we could still do that at least. We
Yeah.
smashed those kids.
Dave, do you know if there's any like how they were doing the Warcraft 3 remake and stuff that you got to try? Are they doing that this year? Like anything new?
I don't think they announced anything yet, but there's usually demos for whatever new shit's coming in the pipeline. It just we're not at that point yet.
Okay.
For me too, I think because it's celebrating 25 years of Warcraft, I'm kind of holding out hope that there's going to be some crazy Warcraft announcement that's going to be like really fucking cool and over the top for the 25 years.
When does that hit? Is it like this year? Like, is it going to be like a mid-year thing where it hits 25?
I don't know the exact date, but it's like this year is 25 years. I'm just hoping that I'm just hoping that they announce something like super fucking cool for like the future, like what's next for Warcraft,
I would think they would. I mean, even if they don't do that, like future, I bet they'll like do a complete blowout for Warcraft this year. Like, it's going to be incredible. Like, I would think that would be like their main focus.
Right, and after this last expansion, they kind of need to like revive the franchise a little bit and put some life back into it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting too that Hall E, which is like kind of like the basement underground level where they usually do all like the ticketing and like the Blizzard store and shit, that is going to be like floor space now for like more event or whatever. So maybe that might tie into some big Warcraft thing. I don't know.
It's really cool.
I'm speculating. I'm pumped about it because obviously I'm a Blizzard nerd, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm
really glad that you invited us last year because it was awesome. And we should all try to go this year if we can.
I mean, not even just like, I mean, it's fun to go like BlizzCon and play the games and everything, but it's just cool because like you get to see like like my guild goes, so we get to meet all the people that we've talked to for all these years in the flesh and like hang out with them, and it is cool to like
Well, my
real life.
yeah, my main thing is cosplayers.
Yeah,
There are a lot of them there.
There are a good amount of cosplayers.
You can cosplay and you get to take like a big.
Well, I'm
photo.
talking about. I'll be. Okay, right now, who would you cosplay?
Jane Proudmore.
Oh, damn it. Okay. Let me think. I don't know. Somebody else go.
Rexar.
That's a good one.
Would you take Korra as Misha?
I don't know what I would do. I'd force my brother to be me.
I'd probably
Have
try
Josh
to be.
sweat his balls off down on the ground.
Man, I'd really like to be Greymane, but like I don't know how I'd pull that off.
I would be.
That'd be an expensive one.
I'd be Chromie.
You'd be Chromie.
You get on your knees.
And I'd still be like fucking 4 foot taller than her.
Yeah, so you wait till-
Still, like it would still work.
That'd be
We'll
great.
put a little cloak behind you, a little golden cloak.
Can I change? I'd have to be Illidan if Dave's gonna be Chromie.
Yeah, you'd
Well, I
be.
don't know if I want to be Rexar.
You'd be a good Illidan.
It'd be our HOTS team.
It would be
Or
our
our-
team. Oh, maybe I would just be Lucio.
There you go.
Throw the gold frog outfit on.
Dude,
Wow.
you don't. You'd have to do blackface. You can't do
No,
that.
I'd have the helmet on, dude.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
What if you like your arms were showing and like you?
They wouldn't
colored
be.
your
It wouldn't be.
arms?
It's full.
Okay. All right.
I'd
Full
be,
golden frog armor.
yeah, I could go full Lannister. All gold.
All right.
Yeah,
All
what
right,
would
well,
you
we-
do, Ben? Your skin's not like green or
Well, it's
Actually, not
actually
full
he's,
Lannister, full
he's
gold
half.
cloak.
He's half.
isn't he? He's
Or,
like a brownish color, isn't he?
He's tannish.
Who's this?
Rexar.
Rexar.
He's been through a lot.
Why wouldn't you just be? Why wouldn't you just be Dahaka?
That would freak everybody out. Like,
I feel like pull that off.
Yeah, with the one who collects or whatever he say.
what did he say?
I collect.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
collect. Look, we're talking HOTS. Everyone's gonna be like, you guys. Are
StarCraft.
I would, actually, you know who I'd be because it's so low effort. I'd just be Jimmy Raynor.
Jimmy Raynor. Like one of his skins where he's just like, dressed.
Yeah,
in
he's just like a normal guy. He's like a t-shirt and jeans. Yeah,
Oh no, man, that gun would cost some money.
that's true. All right, that's it. Any other points on BlizzCon? Okay, thanks guys. A lot of fun as usual. To anybody that's listening, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Check us out on iTunes, Spotify, Twitter, and we're mainly on YouTube where we put these podcasts up, and we also have like some of our other content as well. Hope you join us next week.